In a perfect world, every hero in Overwatch would be perfectly balanced. Everyone would have strengths and weaknesses that counter the others, meaning they'd all be perfectly viable in competitive play. However, this isn't a perfect world. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at some ideas that I had that involve adding mechanics to certain heroes that I believe don't see enough use in competitive play. These ideas I have aren't just statistics buffs. Blizzard has tried buffing HP, buffing damage, and nerfing other heroes the same, and it really hasn't turned out too well so far, in my opinion. What I think needs to be done, and I've said it a lot of times on the channel, is raise the skill cap of many heroes by adding new mechanics to them. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, adding new mechanics to heroes that I think really could benefit from them. We're going to start off today's video with Farah. Farah, over the course of Overwatch's lifetime, which is admittedly pretty short so far, hasn't seen too much play in many of the metas we've had so far. Basically, any meta where a hit scan hero is dominant, Farah sees no play. So when Widowmaker was very good, Farah saw no play because she could be picked out of the sky. When Soldier 76 didn't have as much spread as he does now, Farah wasn't good because Soldier 76 could drop her. And right now, with McCree being a pretty big powerhouse, at least in the pro scene, Farah once again sees no play because she's just too easy to shoot out of the sky. So an interesting new mechanic I think that could really benefit her and not make her OP or broken is simply side thrusters. Let's explore this and let me explain what I mean by this. So you know how Tracer has her blinks. She can blink forward, backwards, left, or right. Well, I'm talking about adding a similar feature to Farah, except the blink isn't instant. It pushes her with a massive boost of speed to the left or the right, and she can use it in the air to help her maneuver, where she's very vulnerable because everybody can see her. I should also note right now that these boosts wouldn't be giant distances. I'm talking 2 or 3 meters, but very quickly. The key, though, is going to be not overdoing it. Being in the air is very powerful, and Farah can use it to her advantage greatly. So if we give her too much mobility, she'll be very, very overpowered. There are 2 ways I can think of getting around this, while still giving her a little bit more mobility to make her a little bit more skill heavy while she's in the air. My first thought was give her a system similar to Tracer's blinks, where she can store a few charges of these left and right boosts, and when she uses them, if she has used any of them, they recharge over time. Except instead of having 3 of them, I say we only give Farah 2. This, in my opinion, wouldn't make her too overpowered, especially if they made the cooldown somewhat long. This way, Farah has the added mobility she needs, but she has to make sure she times it right, because if you waste these 2 boosts, you're going to be out of luck and you're going to be pretty immobile in the sky. My other thought was to make it so these sideways boosts used her booster thrust so she couldn't spend as much time in the air. So she could either stay in the air a decently long time while using her upward thrusters, or she could sacrifice some time in the air for mobility side to side. I think this is a pretty cool mechanic. I wish Blizzard would look into it. Be sure to tell me what you guys think, and now let's move on to the next hero, which is Mei. I'm hesitant to use Mei in this video, and just about any video, because literally just saying her name brings dislikes. But I've got some cool ideas for her kit, and I'd love to hear your opinions on them. The first idea I had was to make it so her wall was a one-way see-through wall. So basically when she places it, the people that are on her side of the wall can see through to the other side, but those on the other side cannot see back through. The reason I think this would be cool is because you could essentially set up some cool combos with ultimates and other abilities with your team because you can see what's on the other side of your wall, and they can't see you setting up for it because they can't see back. I think this would take Mei to a whole nother level. Don't think it would make her too OP because right now she's kind of underpowered, at least in my opinion and according to the statistics, so I think this could be a cool change. Along with this, I'd also like to see the freeze effect on Mei changed a little bit. So right now, all Mei can do with her primary fire is freeze people and deal a little bit of damage. The freezing isn't that powerful. A lot of heroes have the ability to escape from it. A lot of heroes can just kill Mei before they can even be frozen, so Mei I think needs a little bit of help in this category. But instead of buffing the damage or making it freeze people faster, I think it should have some sort of distortion effect. Maybe a little bit of visual distortion where the sides of the HUDs are a little bit frosty and you lose a little bit of your point of view. Or maybe it'll distort your audio so you can't hear enemies as well, and maybe if you're frozen or being frozen, you can't hear enemy ultimates going off. Something like this I think could take Mei to another level, make her a little bit harder to play, and make it so you can really tell the difference between a good Mei player and a bad Mei player. And then on top of all those other things, I think one last thing that would be cool is give her wall and herself, when she freezes herself, some sort of AoE in a small vicinity that starts to freeze people. So if you place your wall and enemies are standing on top of it trying to push through it, it will freeze them, or start to freeze them at least. The same goes for when you freeze yourself to heal yourself and make yourself invulnerable. This, I think, would make a much better area denial tool than Mei's current wall, because currently when Mei puts a wall up, enemies can just wait next to it, wait for it to go down, and then just resume the fight sometimes, and it really doesn't do too much other than stall the inevitable fight, which does have some uses admittedly. But adding this freeze effect could be pretty cool, because then Mei could put her wall behind enemies, and then you could push them into the wall and then freeze them, or do other crazy things. I can't even imagine all the possibilities that would become if Mei could do this with a small AoE freeze. I don't know, you guys tell me what you think. I'm sure most of you will hate it because most people hate Mei, but she does need a little help right now, so I think this change could make her a very cool and a very viable hero to play. The last hero may come as a surprise to you because most people already regard him as high skill or high luck, depending on who you ask. That hero is Hanzo. Hanzo right now is in a pretty bad position. McCree outclasses him at medium range, Widowmaker outclasses him at long range, and he really sees no play because he has a projectile that does less damage than Widowmaker's hit scan weapon, and it's really just, he's not very good. Blizzard has tried buffing his damage, Blizzard has tried nerfing other heroes. Regardless of what you do, I feel like the way Hanzo is right now, he'll always be overpowered or underpowered, because balancing a projectile sniper with another sniper in the game that is a hit scan sniper is not an easy task. Blizzard really would have to work pretty hard to make that work for both of them. So instead of using them both as damage-based snipers that are supposed to pick off weak targets or maybe take down tanks from a distance, I think Hanzo should become some sort of utility sniper with more arrows. Because right now, he only has 2 types of arrows. Think about the possibilities we could do with Hanzo if he had more arrows. Imagine a small explosive arrow that doesn't do too big of an AoE, but does have a small explosion radius, or an arrow that has ice, so it slows enemies that it hits. This could be used against tanks to maybe slow down enemy pushes, or another arrow that I actually saw on Reddit was a really cool one where if you switch to it, it has no cooldown, but it has the ability to pierce shields at the cost of less damage. That's really cool in my opinion. You could make him the counter to Reinhardt and Winston, or maybe even Zarya if you want it. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. I think Blizzard should look into adding more arrows to Hanzo, because right now, he's not good right now, and if they buff him, he's going to be too good. You've seen him on the PTR right now. He's crazy good. Blizzard cannot balance Hanzo. So maybe making him into someone who is more utility-based than damage-based could do them some good. Anyway, these are my thoughts on these heroes. Be sure to tell me what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you all later. Lone Hawk, out.